Imagine being jailed because you have AIDS or leukemia, trapped in a small space with others who share your same disease, abandoned by your family, therefore touched, loved, and cuddled by no one. You are given basic sustenance to keep you alive, with no comfort, no hope, and no chance to get out of a life of isolation and utter boredom. And all because you have a disease that is contagious to your kind. This may seem like a pretty far-fetched scenario, but unfortunately, for thousands of cats, they have to deal with this reality every day. According to WebVet.com, of the 300 to 500 animals in a typical animal welfare organization, approximately 10% of these animals are considered disabled. Of these animals are cats with feline AIDS or feline leukemia. These diseases are spread from cat to cat and are highly contagious in feline communities. Unfortunately, many owners will abandon their cats if they have other cats that test negative, and that leaves more cats for these shelters. Unfortunately, most of these shelters do not have the finances or the space needed to separate these animals and to care for them. I spoke with John from South Animal Care and Adoption Center in Melbourne, Florida, and he said that when they receive these animals, the most likely outcome is that they will have to be put down. I also talked with Ashley from SPCA of Northern Brevard. She told me that they rescue as many of these animals as they can, but unfortunately they can't house them all. She also went on to tell me that in the 2.5 years that she's worked there, that only one of these cats has actually been adopted. The sad reality is, the majority of these animals will live the rest of their lives in a no-kill shelter. Although they are considered disabled because of their ailment, the reality is these animals can and do live normal lives with normal lifespans. They have suppressed immune systems which make them more prone to colds. And they are carrying a disease which is contagious, but is contagious to other cats only. Many people have an aversion to adopting disabled cats because they're afraid it's going to cost them a lot more money. Actually, according to Cornell Feline Health Center, the best defense is an active offense. Regular well cat checkups and weight monitoring will tell you much about your cat's health and the progression of its disease. If you realize that your cat has a major change in health, like loss of appetite or a fever, it is imperative that you get it checked out. But the same could be said for healthy cats. My family wanted to adopt a cat, so we went to our local no-kill shelter. And when we got there, one of the volunteers asked us if we would consider adopting a disabled cat. We're unsure of what they meant, but we said, yeah, sure, we'll consider it, even though we had no intention of actually doing it. So they led us to a separate part of the facility, which was actually a trailer that had about 30 or 40 cats that had feline leukemia. And while we were in there, we were amazed how many there were. And the volunteer told us that the cats in that trailer had little to no chance of ever being adopted. And while we were there, we saw this beautiful Siamese cat in the corner that was hissing at every cat that came anywhere near him. And we were kind of joking with the volunteer, and she said, oh no, he's not a mean cat at all. He loves people, he just hates other cats. And we had our son with us, who was a little over a year old. And the Siamese came right up to him and was rubbing on his leg and playing with him and being sweet to him. And my son knew that cats say meow, so he pointed at the cat and said, Mao. And since he was a Siamese, it just kind of stuck. And at that point, my wife and I pretty much knew we were getting this cat. And the thought of leaving him for the remainder of his life in this trailer with all these cats he couldn't stand, we just couldn't do it. So we adopted him, and the no-kill shelter waived the adoption fee, so there was no adoption fee at all. And they also gave us his first 3 checkups for free. We adopted Mao knowing that he was older. He was an older cat and he had leukemia, but he was with us for quite a while. We did eventually lose Mao, but my son still talks about him to this day. And he recently had a project in school where he could write about his favorite thing. This is years later, and it kind of made me think of writing this speech because of it. And he did his assignment on my perfect pet. This is his picture of Mao down here. My pet was a cat. It was perfect because I could cuddle with him. His name was Mao. He had pointed ears. When I was a baby, I would drag Mao by his tail, and he would not yell. Like I said, he was younger. He was a little rough with the cat, but I don't personify a cat. But once he came home and was part of the family, it's like every day he thanked us for getting him the heck out of there. So the best solution to this problem is for each and every one of you to rush out and adopt a cat with a disability. The reality is that not everyone can or wants to adopt an animal. So what can you do if that's the case? You can test your pets, keep them indoors to make sure that you keep them out of these shelters. You can donate or you can volunteer to your local shelter. You can also become part of a foster system which temporarily houses rescued animals until they receive a permanent home. I'm in Brevard County, and the local SPCA provided me with a lot of resources and information. Please find your local chapter or nearest no-kill shelter for more information on ways that you can help. Thank you.